I got it. We're live.
Live on the radio. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, not the radio, the podcast. Podcasting, Chris and Mike Show, episode number
30.
30?
Yes, 30.
Is this 30? Is that 30? It's cuatro de nueve, so 30. Hola, me llamo Cristobal. Podcast
I
número
froze up.
30. Bienvenidos, amigos. See that?
Say
See
that
that?
again because I froze up.
I'm working. I was like,
I heard Spanish.
Bienvenidos, amigos. Podcast Chris y Michael. Not in Spanish? Not in Spanish. Okay, hey, this is podcast number 30 for the Chris and Mike Show.
Oh, no, I
And then
said I
was like,
heard
Hola, me llamo
Spanish.
Cristobal. Oh, okay. And then Miguel. Bienvenidos el podcasto número 30.
Very nice.
Something to that effect.
Bravo.
Man.
Bravo.
You know, all the, I don't know if that's Spanish. Is Bravo Spanish?
No.
Johnny Bravo. Whoa, whoa.
It is not Spanish.
You remember Johnny Bravo, right?
Oh,
You remember Johnny Bravo?
Hell yeah.
That was a
Hell
great
yeah.
fucking cartoon, man. Yeah. Had a little bit of Elvis in him.
that was one of
Johnny
my
Bravo.
favorites.
Johnny Bravo. So how was your day, Mike?
Well, there's a massive construction project going on outside my house, ladies and gentlemen. So I had to beg, plead, and borrow to get in my own driveway. These are the things you put up with to be able to flush your toilet.
But did you really beg, plead, and borrow? Did you really beg, plead, and borrow? Or did you just go up to the guy and say, "Hi, I'm Mike Michaels. That's my house. Let me in."
So, yeah, we were talking about that, excuse me, before we got on the podcast. So we thought it was prudent to,
Relevant.
yes, relevant to when you want to get something from somebody that you don't know and doesn't know you, how you approach them means everything. Going back to last week when I asked everybody to do one nice thing when they normally would be annoyed or mean or whatever, you know, triggers you. When I walked up to this guy,
Right.
obviously I had been driving. It's daytime. The sun's out. I had my sunglasses on. So the first thing I noticed is that, you know, he's a union guy just like me. So we have something in common. You find a common point, you know. If the guy was wearing a Metallica t-shirt, I would know I was
100%.
I was with family as well. But the second thing I did is I took my sunglasses off when I walked up to him so that he could see that I wasn't mad. And I understood that they were doing a job and they have a job to do. But I have a job to do to bring you guys this podcast. I know you all look forward to it. I look forward to doing it. So I needed to get in my driveway. And it turned out it was a simple request.
Yep.
He said, "Which house do you live in?" I said, I need to get in that one right there. So he asked his boss to back the truck up, and he let me through and even made sure that I didn't drive my car into the hole that they had dug on the side of the road. So how you approach situations is everything in life. You know, I could have been all pissed off. Now, yesterday they hit my gas
Yep.
main. So let me out myself and say yesterday was a little different because they did hit my gas main and they had to evacuate the neighborhood right after I got off work.
Oh, shit.
So once again, I was annoyed, but by the time I got home, I knew I wasn't going to get what I wanted if I approached it like being a dick, right? So
Sure. Yep.
I just walked up to a different guy, and it turned out that he was for surely the guy that hit the gas main because I nicely asked him, "Hey,
Oh, yesterday?
how's it going?" Yeah.
Oh, right.
I was like, "Hey, dude, how's it going?" And he said, "Ain't worth a fuck today, man." He was climbing down off his end loader. And my mom had already given me the heads up that they had hit the gas main. I didn't know it was mine. Turns out they hit just mine, the main going into my house.
Oh.
I clearly
Right on.
figured out real quick that he was the culprit. So luckily standing behind him was a old man who kind of thought the whole situation was funny and was obviously the boss.
Yeah.
He said, once again, he says, "Which house do you need to get into?" I said, "The one right across the street." He says, "Oh yeah, that's the main we hit." He says, "Are you going to be around for a while? Because we're going to need to come in and relight your pilot lights, you know?"
Yeah.
So once again, you know, how I handled the situation.
So Yeah.
meant everything, you know?
Sure. So do you have gas now?
Oh, yeah. I will give Nicor Gas a
Oh,
shout
okay.
out. They couldn't have done any better or quicker of a fix. You know, maybe it was super easy. I'm an idiot when it comes to fixing things, constructions. I don't know anything about that. I spent my life learning to be a musician, you know?
Right. I don't either.
Maybe it was an easy fix, but
Yep,
they came out immediately. They took the situation very seriously, which you would expect and hope, and they did. And they fixed it within about an hour and 10 minutes. I was back up and running. So
Nice.
I thought that was pretty impressive for somebody
cook with gas?
Not most people around here do. For some reason, I have electric, but I do have a gas furnace and a gas water heater.
Okay.
But it is very common to have a gas
so
stove.
you put a gas range in if you wanted to?
I could, absolutely. The gas line's right behind
Can you
that
put
wall.
one in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Do
sure.
you have the... Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cooking with gas, man, is lights out. Like we've had gas. We had gas for years, and then we moved to where we are now, and there was no gas. And fucking like, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 800 feet, maybe 1,000 feet from our house to where they're building this 14 house subdivision, acre lots. They're going to have gas there. So we called the gas company, and they're basically like, well, fuck you. It's going to cost you like $300,000 if you want gas to your house. Seriously? It's 1,000 feet away, man. I'll go get a trencher from
300,000?
Home Depot. I'll trench the ass. Yeah. Oh, it's fucking ridiculous, dude. Same with sewer. Like they're going to have sewers as opposed to septic. So we approached the same thing. They were like 600 grand. And it's stupid because, you know, everybody on the street, you would think, I mean, granted, I live on the street where, you know, yeah, so maybe not. Maybe we're the only ones that would like to be cooking with gas. Everybody else is just, you know, stuck in their own little world. Lost in the world of fantasy. Look what you've done to me.
Super common around here.
Aldo Nova.
Oh, that's a great band.
Yeah, I would love to have gas, but you know, it's yeah. But yeah, Aldo Nova, he came on his title song, Aldo. And then the video drew you back to the video with the helicopter being deployed, you know, Aldo.
Fantasy
song. That's the one cool thing about it. Serious, you know. Fantasy. You're right, fantasy. So it's Aldo Nova off the Aldo Nova album, and the song was called Fantasy.
Yeah.
Life is but the fantasy. Can you live the fantasy life?
Thank
you. Aldo. Woo.
Yes, that song right there starts off with the helicopter. Even on the cassette tape, that's how the song starts off.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember the little laser blows open the door. Right?
So I totally remember my cousin having
and then the guitar
really nice boom box back then. You know, the ones that we carried around on our shoulders like idiots with them right next to our ear at full volume.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was the first time that I heard a boom box that loud, that cool with just the guitar. You know, no other instruments. That beginning guitar tone is almost unmatched today. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
With the big effect, you know, the reverb, the hall reverb.
He was a little guy
on
too.
Yep.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that Les Paul was almost bigger than him.
Absolutely, man. I remember. Right? He had to be tiny, man, like 5 feet or something. 5'2", something like that. I bet Nicky was taller than he was. I don't know.
Dio was super short. There's a short
rock that Prince thing. Dio was way short. I saw.
So was
a picture of Dio with who the fuck was it? Who? Huh? So was Prince. Prince was without the heels. Prince was 4'11". With the heels, Prince was 5'6".
Which is how he fucked his hips up.
Which is why he ended up dying, because he overdosed on painkillers because he was fucked up from wearing heels all those years.
Yeah. Was it really that important?
Fucker dying in an elevator. Like, what the fuck, Prince? You know, like, just, that was a sad day. Prince is a badass, man. He is a badass musician. I never realized the length of his music prowess until he died, and then, you know, all these things started popping up, and he had a hand in so many fucking different things. I knew he was a badass musician. I knew he played every instrument on his albums and wrote all the music, all that kind of jazz, but for the most part, I think the Lesbians wrote Purple Rain.
I didn't
But-
realize how many songs he
That's a
wrote
fucking great
for
song. That's
other people.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I just
that I
no
did.
idea.
I didn't
Like,
know a
once
lot
he
of
died,
that
then
till
all
after
these
he
things
passed.
stories start coming out. Yeah. It's a trip. Like Sinead O'Connor's "Nothing Compares to You." Prince wrote it.
Yep.
You know, it's crazy. It's kind of like Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson has his hand in so many songs for so many artists. You just don't know. You won't know until he dies, and then they'll just start fucking dropping that shit. Like, whoa, you know. Somebody else is a big songwriter. Oh, I can't think of it now. I had it on the top of my head.
Chris Christopherson.
I don't know. Oh yeah.
He wrote a
Terrible
shit ton.
actor, cool dude, but yeah, he wrote a lot of stuff.
Badass guitar player
Yeah.
too.
Christopherson?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. I never really, I was like, eh.
Who's the
I couldn't name anything he was in. I mean, I've seen
Jerry Reed? There's another badass guitar player and a good songwriter.
yeah.
Smokey and the Bandit, Jerry Reed, truck driver.
Jerry Reed, the piano guy. Oh, no, Jerry Reed, Eastbound or Down. Eastbound or
Yeah.
Down, loaded up and choking. We gonna do what they say can't be done.
Dude,
We got
do
a long way to go. And
do
a short
yourself
time
a
to get
favor,
there.
man.
Eastbound, go watch your bandit run.
look up Jerry Reed on YouTube and just go crazy watching that fucker play guitar. He is
Okay.
smoking. His licks
Okay.
are unmatched
He's
by
dead now, but okay.
anybody to this day. Oh, it's just fantastic.
Okay.
A lot of just
Okay.
like
I
Prince
did not know
was a
that.
fantastic guitar
He was on
player.
a lot of Scooby Doo's too.
People don't know that Prince just
Yeah.
shredded on guitar and made people look stupid. Jerry Reed was
Oh,
very
yeah.
much the same way.
Oh,
That guy could
yeah.
just smoke on a guitar. Roy Clark
Right on.
from Hee Haw. There's another one. Look up clips of
Yeah.
him. That guy could
Roy
just
Clark
smoke.
and Buck Rogers, right? Buck Owens.
Buck Owens, yeah.
Yeah. Roy Clark and Buck Owens, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Roy was a shredder, man.
Buck
On
Rogers in the
anything with
25th century.
strings. Banjo, 12-string guitar, 6-string guitar.
Yeah, no
Obviously,
shit.
I never saw him play a bass, but I'm sure he did.
Well,
His fingers just knew
Yeah.
what to do, man, at a speed and finesse that I have not seen in very many people. Like his stuff was just pristine,
Right on.
clean, and super fast. Like there was that chicken picking country shit, where
cool.
it's just
I remember. Yeah. Yeah. And then they can take that over, and then they do it on the fiddle and shit too. Like Charlie Daniels would fucking wail on the fiddle. He's
Yes.
dead too. A lot of people are dead, Mike.
I get it. I get
Shout
it.
out to all the dead musicians.
Yes. Thanks for the music.
Yeah. Shout out because you live on when your name's talked. That's when you know the echo in the atmosphere. You know. Yep. Well, you wanted to talk about something. What were you going to talk about? You told me to remind you to talk about something, so I'm reminding you to talk about something.
Yeah. So,
Remember what it was?
yeah, I heard a couple
Okay.
podcasts recently that were, they reminded me of how much I hate places that are for profit, like SeaWorld. Animals that are smart, that we hold captive.
Oh yeah.
I don't think people realize that when they go to see these shows. Now I have a polar opposite
Yeah.
example of a place that people wouldn't know, and I asked when I was there, and we'll get to that, but
Right.
I just wondered
Okay.
how you felt about it first before I tell you why I can't stand these places, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, but if you took your kids
How I
there,
feel
would,
about SeaWorld
would
and
you
shit?
would you
Yeah.
at
Well,
least explain
I
to
took-
them that this is not right?
It never crossed my mind because we used to go every couple weeks, like 2 weeks before Christmas when the kids got out of school and stuff. For about 5-6 years, we made that like our annual trip. We'd go to California. We'd spend. First time we ever did it, we went to Disneyland and we spent the 2 days in the park and fucking spent like $2,500. I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this shit. So then, this is dating me, but there used to be a thing called HomeAway.com. It was the
Yep.
very first like
remember.
Airbnb, VRBO thing, HomeAway.com, right? They did a
Yep.
commercial on the Super Bowl. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Went to them. So from that point on, we'd get a house that was close to the beach, block or two we'd spend a week with food, with fuel, with park tickets to SeaWorld and Disneyland and all the bullshit you have to buy. We would spend the same amount of money over 7 days as we did that first time over 2 days. So that was our thing for, I don't know, 5-6 years. So it never even dawned on me that that was bad, because back then none of the stuff came out yet, like the Black Shamu. I don't know if it was Black Shamu. There's a Shamu movie, right? Something, the killer whale, something documentary about the whole behind the scenes of SeaWorld.
Blackfish.
Once all they came out, Blackfish, okay. Once all that
That's
came
what
out,
started to change my mind.
the kids were old enough that they could. Okay, so that could make them, now they're adults, so I don't give a fuck what their opinion is on that, because they can make their own decision. I mean, I don't give a fuck, not give a fuck.
I know what you're saying.
But like with little man, if I'm not going to Disneyland, I'm not taking little man to Disneyland. I laid that out. Like, nope, not happening. I love the kid to death and his little brother, but I'm not taking you guys to Disneyland. So I never have to have that problem. Nikki and I have gone to SeaWorld, but we didn't really go watch the shows because Shamu's not there anymore. So it was more of that, hey, we're on vacation without the kids. Let's go to SeaWorld and Disneyland, that kind of shit, just us, which was fun. But I don't think it's right. There's a place in Arizona, I forget what it's called, but they had dolphins in the desert, and they systematically died, and then they replaced one that would die again, replaced one that would die again. So finally, like, the state just shut them down. Like, you fuck off, you're not doing this anymore. Your dolphins in captivity are dying, and it's a desert. You just can't have dolphins in a fucking desert. So they got away with that completely. So there's no more dolphins there. Now it's just kind of a overly priced outside bazaar. They have a Ripley's Believe It or Not maze and butterfly thing where you go in this butterfly enclosure, thousands of butterflies, and it's rather boring and stupid. It had no business being in Arizona to begin with. And that's what I have on that. So I don't think it's cool. I agree with you. I don't think capturing and unless it's for something specific, like, right, the Phoenix Zoo has 3 or 4 bald eagles that were injured by stupid shit people, and they can't survive in the wild. They can't fly for whatever reason. That kind of stuff I respect, because you're taking care of, especially our nation's symbol of freedom. If you find a whale that's gonna die if he stays in the ocean, by all means, fucking bring him to places that can take care of him and keep him alive for as long as he's allowed to be alive. But I don't think you should take a perfectly healthy dolphin and stick him in SeaWorld, nor do I think Shamu should be in SeaWorld just for entertainment, because the quality of life isn't there like it should be. I wouldn't want to be fucking in a zoo. No. Like say Planet of the Apes comes, right? And then they fucking take over the world, and then they take all us real humans and we put us in a zoo. Like, that would suck, man. I wouldn't. And that's a lot of the reason that those people made that movie, right? Yeah.
Was to make people think, hey, we're taking animals that, a lot of people that don't have the time that I do to watch, like thousands of hours of documentaries. And I'm fascinated with the ocean. So believe me, a lot of my time has been spent watching ocean documentaries. These whales migrate like 4,000 miles to mate every year. Not like once in a while. Yeah. They do it every year.
Yeah, it's insane.
A lot of people don't know that. So
that's insane.
How did SeaWorld come about?
Same with the penguins. The penguins do that too.
They do. SeaWorld came about because they bought whales and dolphins and whatever else they got there. I don't know, because I'll never go. From the Russians.
Yeah.
And they stuck them in a swimming pool.
Oh.
So think about what I just said. These are animals that migrate 4,000 miles plus every year to mate. And you put them in what you go to see for the show, and they live in less.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
It's just horrible.
That's mind-boggling. I didn't know that. Wow. That's a different way of looking at that for sure.
Well,
that is terrible.
It goes even deeper, because these animals mate for life. Yeah. Dolphins are kind of whores. They're different. Right. But whales, they are family-oriented just like we are. They're in a pod, right?
Yeah.
When you pluck that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say we got Larry, Joe, Sarah, and Dave. Okay. They're in the pod. And we got 2 kids and
Okay,
we got
okay.
mom and dad.
Yeah.
We pluck whoever I
Right.
said, the woman. We plucked the mom out of the
Larry.
ocean.
Pluck Larry.
Okay, we plucked Larry out of the ocean.
Yeah.
Now the mom and the 2 kids are
Yeah.
forever looking for Larry
Are fucked.
the rest of their lives. And
Oh,
whales live
fuck,
like
dude.
200 years, people. Some
Because
of them.
Wow.
You have fucked their.
Yeah,
it would
that's
be
messed
just.
up.
It'd
Now
be
that you
no
put it that
different
way.
than if when Jake or Skylar was little, somebody plucked one of them and you never found him again.
Yeah.
They feel the same
Yeah.
way. We know that.
That's fucking terrible, dude.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
So I apologize to one of my very good friends who loves SeaWorld. I'm so sorry. But you have to know that we just can't do that, you know?
No.
If you want to participate, now here's the flip side. If you want to participate in something positive, like a place like Shed Aquarium in Chicago is a sanctioned research facility. They don't go seek out animals from the
Okay.
ocean. They seek out animals from places like you just described, where they're sick and dying and they need to be nursed
Oh,
back
okay.
to health.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
in the Eagles case where there's no other option. Like they have 2 beluga whales, or maybe 3 now. I think
Right.
they mated. All those whales came from places like, I think theirs come from Canada, but they all came from for-profit places that closed down
Okay.
or were shut down by the government, and they needed a place to go because they weren't going to make it in the wild.
Yeah.
So for people that
Gotcha.
live in
Yeah, 'cause
Illinois,
as,
or
as disturbing as it was to see the Eagles at the zoo, yeah.
for the people that live in Illinois or the
Go ahead.
surrounding areas, your money is very well spent at a place like that because it just goes to keep those animals healthy and take in more animals that need help. None of those animals have ever been picked out of the ocean. They were all donated or they were taken from places that were shut down for illegal purposes. Believe me, I asked. It's like, where's my
Gotcha.
money going?
Yeah, right on.
I don't want to support slavery because
That's
that's
cool.
what SeaWorld
No,
is
that's
to
cool.
me. It's fucking slavery.
So, yeah.
You and I wouldn't
Yeah,
like to be
you put
stuck
it
in a
that way.
swimming pool and have
Absolutely.
to jump through a hoop every night. Fuck you.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the Planet of the Apes thing, man.
For some fish, that's all
They
they get
take
is some
over.
fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they don't perform, they drug
Yeah,
them.
that's lame. Right.
It's terrible,
Which
man.
is just,
It's fucking terrible.
So and knowing all that, it's so who turned the blind eye for decades, right? Who ignored that shit for years and years and years,
Politicians. Because it brings tax
Yeah.
revenue into the community.
Fuckers.
You know how big SeaWorld is. It's huge. You've been there. It's just as big in Florida.
Yeah, I've never been to Florida once, only to San
Well,
Diego.
I'm sure I'm sure they're comparable.
It's not insanely big, but yeah. Okay, so here's a little conundrum there. So you have marine biologists who train their entire life to work with and care for these types of animals. So they willingly work there knowing that they're, holding captive killer whales that, like you said, are bonded for life and migrate for life. And,
So the podcast that I
they're
listened
okay with
to made it pretty clear that you don't really have the quality of care for those animals. Like the guy that did the podcast literally had no experience and became a trainer. So he went from just like you and I, he needed a job.
Oh, fuck.
This was in Canada. Okay. So
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that place. It's
Okay.
been shut down by the Canadian government.
Okay.
His name is Phil Demers. If anybody wants to listen to that podcast, DEMERS, Google it. You'll find it.
Okay.
It's fascinating to listen to because he goes pretty much step by step how these for-profit places operate. And while they do
Nice.
have vets, because I'm sure they're required to,
Mhm.
I'm not sure that they're always on site.
Yeah.
It's mostly the trainers that these animals are interacting with. As far as SeaWorld goes, I can't say because I didn't dig into what SeaWorld does and how they operate. They may take care of their animals great.
Yeah.
The problem is you took an animal that pretty much circumnavigates the fucking ocean annually.
Globe.
And you stuck it in a swimming pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Now, see.
That's not cool, man.
Did I ever tell you that? Did I ever tell you I worked for SeaWorld?
No, I'm not going to hold it against you. We all need jobs.
I worked for SeaWorld this is the fun part of it. So it was a couple years out of high school. They had a satellite office in Tempe, off of Lakeshore Drive, and a friend of mine and I somehow knew this guy Bruce, he worked for SeaWorld, Bruce, and I think the other chick was Tammy. So for about 4 or 5 years running, Dave Muncy, remember Dave Muncy from Channel 10 down here?
Oh yeah.
Did the weather guy?
Yep.
He had this thing called the Summer of Supervision, which was about water safety and watching your kids around water and drought drowning prevention. So the Shamu and Penny Penguin costumes were worn by myself and Brian, whichever one was in that day, who knows? And we shot commercials in backyards for SeaWorld for the Summer of Supervision, and it ran for 4 or 5 years. So every time you'd see a life-size Shamu, not life-size, but a 6 foot tall Shamu, right? Like the mascot costumes, right?
Yep.
Just got my head in this fucking giant fiberglass Shamu head, right? And I'm talking, God forbid we film the shit in like February when it's nice outside and run it during the summer. No, they had to fucking film this shit in May and June. And you're standing in a backyard fucking baking. I'm not kidding you. I'd take the thing off and my
That's
clothes
terrible in Arizona.
was just a shirt and pair of shorts and just fucking soaked, man. And I made the mistake one time we were shooting. I spoke. I was Shamu that day and I spoke. I said something and the fucking Tammy chick, man, like just right to my side and leaned into the blowhole or whatever the fuck so I could hear. It's like, you're not supposed to say anything. And I was like, what? What'd you say? I can't hear you. She was fucking pissed, man. I'm like, and then later, like we were done, she was like just yelling at me. I'm like, they're not stupid fucking kids. They know it's a person inside the costume. Like, I'm not, you weren't 3, 4-year-olds because you're not going to have 3 or 4-year-olds in a commercial about water safety. They were like, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. These were kids that could speak and could follow directions and they would jump in the pool when they were told to jump in the pool and all that kind of shit. So it was choreographed with kids that were old enough to understand, comprehend, and wrap their head around what we were doing. They weren't naive enough to think, oh, that's the real Shamu. He's only 6 feet tall, 8 feet with the head, and his buddy Penny Penguin. And both of them are really, really hot because it's hot outside and the costumes were warming up being baked because it's all black. Both costumes were black. So you're in a pool area with the cool deck and the sun beating down on fiberglass head Shamu. Penny Penguin wasn't as bad because the head was a little bit smaller and it was just kind of like wearing a really loose suit, if you will. But yeah, God forbid you fucking speak. But the only benefit of it was back then was whenever we didn't never go because we were fucking 2 years out of high school minimum wage. But I think we went once or twice to SeaWorld behind the scenes stuff because we were behind the scenes and went to the annual parties and shit, which was fun. But
did that also take place in Arizona?
Story. Sorry. The parties we'd go to California.
Okay. So you got to go to like their headquarters.
But all the commercials
and
stuff were filmed in Arizona. Yeah, and it's just in SeaWorld itself. But like the little office was legit. We called in the once I got the real estate in full circle type life, Lakeshore Boulevard. We called it Linda Row because almost every single office along that little Lakeshore Drive, which cut from it's a weird road. Baseline in Guadalupe are like this, and Lakeshore Drive just cuts right through it as a pass through. And then on the east side are all these little office, like kind of like row housing, but they're offices. And SeaWorld had an office there, and I get little I had paychecks, little blue paychecks with Shamu on the top. You know, I had a badge, a name badge. Like if I still had the name badge, if you know, I would have exploited that shit, you know, and worn it. You know, and just started opening doors you're not supposed to open. Well, dude, right there, man, right there, dude.
I work here.
SeaWorld badge. Fuck off, motherfucker. I belong here. Yeah. Then I could do it. I could go there. I go there. I could release all the animals, man.
You could
They'd be like, what the
poke a
fuck are you
hole in
doing?
the pool.
I work here. Look. Poke a hole in the pool. I work here. It's okay. It's okay. I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express. I actually work here. Leave me alone.
The only reason I bring that up is because about 99.999 to infinity, you will hear me say I'm on team people until you start fucking with animals that we don't understand even how smart they are.
Yeah.
Because we can't understand their language.
Yeah.
We know enough to know that they feel and that they mate for life as far as whales go, and that they raise families, and that they live twice as long as we do, most of them. Some longer than that.
Not the way we're destroying the oceans, man.
It's fascinating to me that now on this planet there are two places that we cannot go for more than 100,000 years.
Right?
You know those two places?
The ocean and space.
No, Chernobyl and Fukushima.
No.
Because we fucked up with nuclear power.
Chernobyl and who?
And Fukushima. We're just maintaining that.
Fukushima.
The Japanese nuclear power plant that melted down after the typhoon.
Yeah. Oh. Well, what about the atomic bomb? We can still go to Hiroshima?
Yeah, because those were just
Isn't that
bombs.
what the atomic bomb was?
Yeah, that radiation eventually dissipated.
Oh.
These are nuclear power plants that are full of spent nuclear fuel that melted down and has irradiated the ground forever. It's fucked. You can't go to Chernobyl.
Oh.
It's cordoned off. Ever since it happened.
I thought you could go back there now.
Fuck no.
See, I thought people were back there now. I thought you could. Oh shit! Still.
Google machine me just so you know people.
Dude, there's
people
a fucking pal of.
People might be screaming. They've been living there for 20 years. I don't think so.
There's a nuclear power plant just outside of Buckeye, man. Palo Verde.
Yeah, but it didn't melt down.
So that shit blows up. Arizona's fucked.
Yes.
I'm just saying, if it does, Arizona's fucked.
We got one that's 40 miles up the road. We're fucked too.
That's interesting, man. I could have sworn. I mean, I and what was the other one? I'm totally showing my ignorance here. Not Hiroshima. You said there was one in Japan. Is that the 5 Mile Island? Is that the 5 Mile Island? What was that?
That one we got lucky on. It didn't melt down. They saved it.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. 3 Mile
Island. Where was that one?
New York.
3 Mile Island. Like a 3-hour tour? Okay. Oh, fuck. That would explain some of the rat problems they have.
So, 3 Mile Island accident was a partial nuclear meltdown of the Unit 2 reactor of the 3 Mile Island Nuclear Generating Station on Susquehanna River in Londonderry Township near Harrisburg, the capital of Pennsylvania in the United States. The reactor accident began at 4 a.m. on March 28, 1979, and released radioactive gases and radioactive iodine into the environment. It is the worst accident in U.S. commercial nuclear power plant history. On the 7-point logarithmic International Nuclear Event Scale, the TMI-2 reactor accident is rated level 5, an accident with wider consequences. So it wasn't a full meltdown like Chernobyl was. Chernobyl melted all the way down. It just was done. They couldn't control it.
Wow. I knew that. Okay.
Current status.
And then where was the other one? You said there was another one.
3 Mile
Japan? The other one?
So 3 Mile Island is still in existence. They still run the first generating station. The
Okay.
second generating station has not run since the accident.
Okay.
The other one was Fukushima.
Fukushima.
I'm pretty sure that was a
Fukushima.
total.
Never heard of Fukushima.
That happened on March 11th, 2011.
Total devastation. Wow. That wasn't very long ago. That's when I stopped watching the news a couple years before that, so that's probably why I don't know anything about that. You know.
The accident was rated 7, the maximum severity on that scale that I just told you about. It is regarded as the worst nuclear
No shit.
incident since Chernobyl disaster in 1986, which was also rated a 7.
Wow. Wow.
164,000 people
That's crazy,
were displaced.
From Fukushima?
Yep, in the surrounding areas.
Wow. And Japan's not that big. Jake was there, right? That's not a big thing. How big is Japan?
Not very big at all.
Is it like the size of Texas?
Hell
Is it
no.
like the size of
You
Texas?
could probably fit 20 Japans in Texas.
Okay.
I don't know. It's
So
super
like
small.
it's the size of Rhode Island?
Maybe
Okay.
Rhode Island
Wow.
and Vermont and New Hampshire all put together. Something like that.
Okay. So maybe like North Dakota? Like North Dakota?
Oh, no,
South
you
Dakota.
could probably still fit 2 or 3 Japans in North Dakota.
Nevada?
Nevada's huge, dude. People forget how big the United
Arizona?
States is. It's fucking gigantic. Fly over it. You just did when you came back to Illinois. Look how much
Well, I never-
unused space there is. Look out the window.
Oh, I know. It's fucking insane.
My brother just
it's like
commented
Arizona's
on that recently.
91% raw land. And, yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
bring it up. He
Yeah.
just flew back and
People
forth
think-
to
yeah,
Florida, and he was like, Jesus,
yeah.
there's a lot of unused land in this place.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Arizona, last 90% or something, 91% or something is raw land, and people can't wrap their head around that. But it's, all the forests and the land you can't touch and the mountains and all that
So this
stuff,
is
man.
crazy. Listen to this. We know from Chernobyl that
Okay.
the psychological consequences are enormous from something such as a nuclear meltdown. Life expectancy of the evacuees
Okay.
dropped from 65 to 58 years, not because of cancer, but because of depression,
Wow.
alcoholism, and suicide. Relocation was not easy, and the stress is enormous.
Wow.
We must
Wow.
not only track those problems, but also treat them. Otherwise, people will feel that they're just guinea pigs in our research. So it was the being relocated that fucked them up. None of them died from cancer.
Wow. That's a little crazy, a little scary.
Well, I wouldn't want to be just displaced from my home, instantly like that. It's like you got to move and you can never come back. That's what they were told,
Yeah, that would suck. And you couldn't take your shit with you because it all had radiation in it, right?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to sound super stupid and say, I would say something really smart like, hey, man, I got my shit like I like it. I don't want to leave, Hey, leave me alone. I got my shit just where I want it, brother. I don't want to leave.
Right? Yeah. And they're like,
I'm pretty
sorry,
happy
Mike.
here.
Sorry, Mike, it's time to go.
No. I
Wow.
just got everything the way I want it. That would be my luck.
That's
So listen to how confident
suck,
I am
dude.
that I'm still
would
supposed to
definitely
be
suck.
here. Mama Kay called me, and I was coming out of the grocery
Okay.
store, and she told me that they were evacuating my neighborhood, right? We started off the podcast talking about evacuating the
Right.
neighborhood, right? And I said,
Right.
well, I got $130 worth of groceries, and I'm getting in that house. And she says, you're not, because there's fire trucks at either end of the street, Mike. You're not getting in the house. And I had a shit day that day, and I was nice to Mama Kay, but I just told her
Yeah.
I've not had a good
Yeah.
day and nobody's stopping me from getting my groceries in the house. And she says, well, I'm just telling you, they got fire trucks at
Right.
each end of the street. So I don't know how you're going to do that. I said, well, I'm going to do it. And she nicely
And
said,
this was the day they broke your main?
yes. And she nicely offered her refrigerator
Okay.
up so that I didn't get in any trouble with the fire department nor the people that were trying to fix she knows how I am sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
like I
good.
said in the beginning, I talked to these people nicely and I ended up getting what I needed. So it's all good. But
Yeah.
oh my God, some days are just, no matter what you do, nothing goes right.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a client like that. He's going through like I've been trying to go home forever, to the fact that I'm like, I finally, like, he's on WhatsApp, I have a text, I have his cell, I have his email, and so the WhatsApp, there's 2 check marks when you see and it's red. And I've legit been trying to get a hold of this guy for about 3 weeks, and it's a long story why his house is what it is. It's an investor bought the house, and then he did some work, and some asshole neighbor decided to turn him into the city because they didn't think he was doing work properly. And that's, like, fucking asshole people, right? Like, this dude should have had this house up. I should have had this house up and sold like early last year, but it's been that kind of fiasco, because then all of a sudden the city came out and put this orange sticker on the window base saying you fuck you didn't do something right. And so I don't know the details to it, but long story short, he finally called me back today, and he, like, just out of nowhere, his life just changed on a dime. Like, he's out of the house. The wife kicked him out. They're fucking on the path to divorce, and I could tell he was distraught and just sad. He started to cry and stuff. And so I'm like, dude, like, I'm all about connections before commissions. I preach that all the time. Like, I don't care about your house, man. If I end up taking you care of it, get you sold, that's cool. So, but you're a human, man. Like, you need to be able to talk to people. You need to be able to fucking vent, and like, so the end of the conversation was basically like, dude, just, you have a problem. You because he's depressed and shit. Like, I mean, his whole world, right? He has no family. His parents have been gone forever. He has no other family where he lives, the state he lives in. So he's just kind of like going from couch to couch, bouncing from Airbnb to Airbnb. He's like, his depression is so bad that he can't focus on work because he's in the mortgage industry and he does home inspections and shit. So he has all these different hats he wears, right? And it's just, I don't know the details of it. So I gave him some advice and told him some things that worked for Nikki and I when we went through that struggle. And like, dude, just, you want to talk, fucking call me. I use what we always talk about. Tomorrow's a better day. You're not doing this alone. And he's like, man, I woke up this morning, I had a flat tire. I said, okay. So what, your day started off like shit. Now let's find something positive for the rest of the day. Cause can't go down from there. Right? I mean, you fucking got a flat tire. You can't drive your car. You're stuck.
And see,
but there's got to be something that comes out of this that makes this a better day. And
you pulled me full circle back into where I was going before I fell off the rails. That's why we do this well.
Oh, yeah.
That was my point.
Right.
As I was going off the deep end yesterday, I realized that I had only to go 2 blocks, or, I could have just went next door to my sister and dropped all my stuff off. The point is, I had options. How mad can I be that I can't get in my house when I guess I couldn't have gone to my sister's because she was evacuated too. So that wouldn't have worked, but I could have went 2 blocks to my mom's. I have friends all over town, things could always be worse. And as I get to that point where I'm ready to blow up like I used to, because I've said before, and I'll say again, I have a horrible temper. I don't let it get to that point anymore because I start thinking about all the things that I have to be thankful for, just as you did for your friend. I needed people like that in my life, and there's still still times I need those people. You're that person for me. I have just a handful of other people in my life I can count on one hand that could talk me down off the ledge because I'm a stubborn fucker, and everybody that holds that role understands that if you're going to go to battle of wits with me, it's probably going to be ugly, and you got to go into it knowing that you're going to win, otherwise I'll eat you alive. But there's certain people that I respect on a level that,
no, and that's what
deserve,
Yeah.
your attention. When you talk, I listen because I've learned so much along the way, not
Yeah.
only from music, but about life. And, you recovered before I did and you didn't even know it, but you were an inspiration with all your
Sure.
stuff that you posted on Facebook that I would watch and silently.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
I've
You
never
never
said
told
that.
me that. Thank
I
you.
know I've never said that publicly. It's right here on the podcast.
Mm-mm.
I watched every bit of it,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah,
helped
thank
me
you.
not only decide to do that, but to maintain. And there were days that I didn't want to maintain, that I would see something that you posted, and it wasn't important for me to comment because it
Right
helped
on,
me,
dude. Yeah.
I've just recently become a social media
That's
guy
awesome,
because
though.
we had
I
to,
like
because
that.
we started this podcast, but I'm still not nearly to the level of engagement that, you command or a lot of other
Yeah.
people do. But
Yeah.
it is
That's
fun.
okay.
I enjoy
We'll
it.
get there.
People are cool. All our fans are cool.
Yeah. They are cool, man. And nobody's strange. People are just cool. But that's the kind of thing I ended up with this guy. I'm like, one of the last things I said to him, I was like, at the end of the day, dude, I don't care if I sell your house. Like, I'm more concerned about you as a human than I am as a client. And I'm like, you can tell from the way we started this, because he Googled realtor in the area, and I was the third one he called, but I was the only answering my phone. So then it was game on, and then he's out of state, so I would without him asking, because the house is about 2 blocks from my office. So once a week when I did my office hours, I would just pop by the house and send him a message and send him an update. And so when it came time to list, it was a no-brainer then to work with me. So like, that's the thing. It's like, that's why I've always kind of preached it. It's about the people. Everything else follows. Connections lead to commissions, and it can be to where, I've talked to people and haven't sold my house until 2 years later. I don't care. So many people are right here, right now. I want it. I'm like, I don't care. It's just, let's work at your speed. And the human factor, by all means, is more important to me than anything else. And so hopefully he left our conversation feeling a little better, and, had his chin up a little higher, because he definitely was in a bad way. He definitely, I could tell, he broke down a couple of times talking, which sucks, because then I'm like, dude, been there, done that. Like, I understand where you're coming from. I understand all facets of where you're coming from. He didn't know I was an alcoholic recovering, so I told him that, and so it's it's cool that he trusted me enough to call me, because and he even told me, he's like, I'm not calling anybody. I've been depressed, and that's kind of what opened it all up. And I think he was probably expecting me to tell him to fuck off. You're wasting my time. You know what I mean?
Which is what a lot of people would do.
And he got the polar opposite, right? And he got the polar opposite. So it'll be interesting to see, where this pans out. And he even alluded to, like, his wife's taking over the real estate side and shit. So I'm probably completely out of the game, which, again, I don't care, because I'd rather him be safe and have a good solid mind. And they did the marriage thing, that he did the private counseling, and it's just just shit's not working. So hopefully our conversation uplifted him a little bit, and I'll poke at him again in a couple of days, see how he's doing, because that's just who I am. It's sad when people go through shit and they don't think they have anybody.
That's what I was just going to say. That's why it's important for, people like you and I to take the time to listen when somebody's struggling. And you and I are going to know that somebody's struggling far sooner than anybody else is, because we've been through a lot of those things, and we see a lot of the signs that, normal everyday people that, didn't abuse themselves as we did, they just don't pick up on it as quick.
Right.
And it is sad, because we've both been there where, we were either hiding it or we were doing whatever, and somehow painted ourselves into a corner to where we didn't think we had an option either. And if we would have just opened our eyes at any moment, we would have seen there was a million options, because luckily for you and I, people love us, and that's a very important thing in life. Is the saddest thing is finding somebody that's down on their luck and has no one. There's no sadder existence on the planet.
Yeah, totally.
Because scientifically, going back to all the crap that I listened to and digest. Scientifically, we know that you need human contact. The worst thing that you can do to a human being is put them in isolation. That's why solitary confinement
Isolation, absolutely.
is the worst punishment.
Yep.
And any inmate that's ever been there will tell you that. Fuck that. You put them in a dark hole with no human contact. The first thing you want when you get out of that place is a hug. You know, it's like somebody touch me.
Mm-hmm. And then some. Right. Exactly.
So when I say human contact, I don't want people to think what Chris and I are doing is human contact. I mean, you physically need to touch other people or you start to die as a person.
Yeah.
You don't know it, but they've proven that that's true. That's why solitary confinement is the worst punishment for a human being. It's awful.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're just creating.
Yeah, and I learned from a friend who was in that environment that you become friends with whoever you become friends with. Like he befriended the chaplain, and so basically ended up getting the Bible. So he would read the Bible. He was in solitary for fucking long ass time. I forget how long he said, but he would just read the Bible front to back, front to back, front to back, front to back. And then when he was done with the Bible and the guy came back around, he got some other books and other things. So all he did while he was in there was read, and it was the same thing over and over again because he had no choice. Because otherwise you go insane.
And that's what happens
to a lot of people. And he's
people.
probably a little insane, but he's a really good guy. So yeah. That goes back to that's the human version of SeaWorld.
Yes, it is.
Captivity and right. There you go. See how we full circled that, people? That's what Mike and I do. We full circle things. You're welcome.
We do. Our secret is it's all by accident.
Yep.
You can't plan these things.
All by accident.
Because it never would have worked if we would have tried to plan it that way.
You can't plan it at all, and it works. No, absolutely not.
I just had that conversation with a friend of mine on Friday. He wasn't asking why I wasn't in a band anymore, but somehow we stumbled on that subject.
Yeah.
And I said, that's real simple, man. I can answer that super easy. Because it's real easy to put a band together. It's real hard to put a good band together.
It is.
You have to it's not enough. And this is what most people don't understand. It's not enough to just be a good musician. That's a given. You have to be able to play. We're not going to let anybody in the band that's fumbling through their notes, So you got to, the one thing about musicians is they're a step ahead of everybody else as far as that's a silly fucking thought to have in the first place. You're not going to have anybody that sucks because then your band sucks because we're not stupid. But you have to gel as human beings, and that's the hard part. We could look at each other on stage and know where the next move is going, right? Uh-huh. Somehow you looked at Scott or I, and that we knew it was two more measures.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Or you knew I was going to go off on a tangent improvisational wise, and we were just going to jam for a minute,
Yeah, then we would improvise.
You just knew, or you knew when I was right. And then, that kind of shit was so much fun. Just fucking being on stage and just.
My point is.
Just living in that moment.
You can't teach that. I couldn't say, hey, Chris, at X moment in the night, I'm going to hit this note in between 6 other notes, and I need you to pay attention to that one note. It's got to catch your ear, and that's going to make you do something entirely differently than you would normally do. It would never work. But in the moment, you heard that change that normally wasn't there, and you were like, oh, okay, I'm going to play off that for a while.
Yeah. Yep.
You can't teach that.
Yep.
That was my point to my friend that I was talking to, is to put those kind of human beings together is a happy accident. You just got to keep searching until you find the right ones, And I haven't been willing to go through that painstaking process since the last band I put together was such.
Well, and I think I really think with
not good experience.
And I really think with technology and shit that me and Rick can do something. It's just a matter of getting, once you're set up and dialed in over there, then I think I can start pressing him harder about shit.
Yeah.
You know, because I truly want to at least lay down stuff we did, you know, as best we can without Scott, because it's going to sound hella different, but
Maybe,
I think
maybe
it would
not.
just be cool to have that, because yeah. That weird question off the wall. I forget what he had 3 kids, right?
Yes. Jeremiah was a son.
Any of them musicians? Okay.
Yes. Jeremiah
Jeremiah
plays
plays
guitar,
drums?
bass, and drums.
Does
Yeah. And he's very good at all of
really?
them.
See where
Yeah.
I'm going with this?
Yeah.
See where I'm going with this? Is he in Arizona?
No, he's in Michigan with Carrie.
Oh, okay. Okay. See, so you go to Michigan all the time. I didn't know Carrie was in Michigan. I probably knew she was in Michigan. I probably forgot.
Yeah, I think I told you one time when we were on the phone. You called me one time when I was there, if I remember right.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I forget things.
That might be a viable option too. I thought maybe Tony would have some options too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If Tony has an option, we have to listen. You know, Tony.
Like
You know.
maybe Joey Kramer from Aerosmith is bored.
That would be fucking cool.
He's retired, I think. I don't know. Is
Yeah.
he going?
Yeah.
Is he going out
Hey,
on that
man.
last tour? I can't remember. Yeah, I bet he is.
I don't know. I don't know
I
if they
haven't
are or
heard.
not.
Well, them and the Black Crowes are supposed to be going out on Aerosmith's farewell tour, and I'll let Tony tell that story when he comes on the podcast.
Yeah.
But he's got a story about that
Yeah.
one. So
Right
I'm
on.
pretty sure all the members of Aerosmith are there, though.
That would be cool. I saw them when they a couple years ago when I was 2015, so more than a couple years ago when they what was it? They had just come back. It was like a first tour in forever, and fucking dude just sounded fucking fantastic. Steven Tyler. We talked about this before. He was fucking unbelievable, dude. Just, I mean, he didn't miss a note. He was that dialed in. It was that good of a show. It was just fucking right on. Entertaining from the word go. Not a bad song in the set they played. You know, just really good.
So
Really good show. And I'm sure they're going to be the same thing with what they're doing now. So
Joey Kramer left the band in September of 2023.
oh, okay. So he's
I
bored.
thought I saw that he left. So see, he's not doing anything. I think we
Okay.
could. Tony knows Joey.
Yeah, he's bored.
It's like I got these fine young lads who have written a couple of good ditties that just need a bit of drums.
Yes.
I don't know why I turned Tony into
Just
an
a bit of
Englishman,
drums.
but or a Scotland.
Why not?
He seems to be pretty southern.
It could. That is cool. That is way cool. I'm looking forward to talking to him, and because he gives us notes and insights and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, he apologized
looking
one time
forward
for
to-
giving us those long, lengthy diatribes, and I said, I
Oh, I liked
fucking
it,
love
though.
them.
They weren't-
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, because it may seem long to him, but if you put it copy paste it in an email, it's like 2 paragraphs. Everything looks a lot longer in text. you
Well, and what it proved to me is that he listened to the entire podcast because he broke it down step by step as we talked about it. It's like, here's what I thought about this, and this. That's cool, man.
Right.
I really enjoyed reading that because it's a different
Yeah.
perspective, and he taught me a lot, as far as questions that I had, he answered.
Yeah.
And So if you're listening, brother, keep the diatribes or whatever you called them coming, because we appreciate them, and I pass them on to Chris, and he also appreciates them. Just knowing somebody cares that much to listen to the end is fascinating. So
Right.
Tony also knows that I'm pretty self-deprecating as an artist. I hate everything I do, so to know that somebody else likes it is, I love it. You know, makes me happy that I do it.
I think all artists are self-deprecating in a way because you're your own worst critic.
Yes, I don't mean that
You
in
know?
a bad way. Like it's
Like I
painful
never
to
like
do.
how I sound. Yeah. Oh, I know. I never like how I sound on when recorded. You know what I mean? And then we're so far removed from what we did then, and when you play it back now, it's like fuck. Okay, we sounded great, but in your head, you're always like, you know. I was telling Nikki on one of our walks that we couple of the Freeman song. I'm like, I can still. She's like, I can still sing that. I sing along to it when he plays it. Like I can still hold those notes out. And she's like, well, that was your wheelhouse. That was your sweet spot. That's where your voice was perfect at.
Yes,
You know?
we let you be you because there's no other way to let somebody be. We didn't tell you what to do.
Right. And
None
so
of us.
many, right. And I think so many, no, and I think so many, and that goes across the board, you know, but I think a lot of bands, they try to force you to be something you're not. Well, you need to play this way. You need to sound like that. You need to write like this. You need to write like that. And,
Yeah, and then you're like, you need to fuck
that's why a
off.
lot of the personalities clash with the last band because it just, yeah, because it's just, you know, I look at what we did in the last band and there's a couple songs that I really like, and for the most part, the rest of it's like, yeah, none of it was really what I wanted to do, but he was like Josh and Jesse wanted more of the Fracture Me and the Plastic Icon stuff because they knew that's where I lived vocally. Like they knew that was my style, and the Liquid Sin, and
Yeah,
the other shit.
I dug
was
those tunes as
numbnuts,
well.
fucking. Yeah. And then some of the stuff that we never did, which I want to do with you, because there's a song I wrote called Silhouette of an Outcast, which I think is just fantastic.
Is that one of the ones you sent me? Because that sounds familiar.
With it, so I wrote it. It probably was a demo where it was what was it? Standing around with nothing to do, ain't got no thoughts in my head. That's true. I never speak about what's in my mind. Something. It's some weird. I gotta. If I fuck around in my head long enough, I can pull the melody out. But it's the chorus of it is I'm a silhouette of an outcast. So it's like I'm an outcast, but the shadow's the outcast. It's one of my weird fucking trippy songs I wrote, right? Where
That's awesome.
it doesn't make sense per se, but with the words are together and it just has a really cool, it's kind of a mellow thing. It's a journey, right? It's like the other one I did that we never did anything with, King of Misery.
I like that title
because I always had that there was a dark period and everybody's, oh fuck, dude, and the fucking song, I'm gonna be the king. What was it? I have to look. I have to find those two and send them to you. But it was dark. It was a dark period. And I'm gonna be the king of misery, and it's like, that's the whole concept. Like when you're in that dark place, you have to own it, right? No matter what you do in life, you have to own it, right?
Well,
so
it reminds me of
fucking be the king of misery, man.
It reminds me of Hetfield's King Nothing. You know, that's where I felt like he was at. And now that you say that, I'm sure that's where he was at that moment in his life. You know, I think he did the same thing. He was like, you know what? I'm so fucked up. I guess I'm King Nothing.
Yeah. That's a good, yeah. Okay. I never thought of that. Bring it full circle. But yeah, I'll find those because those would be cool to fuck with because I have the melodies in my head.
Yeah, I love
it was
both
never really
those
tied
titles.
to music because it was one of those things where, thank you. It was just one of those things where we were fucking around and hit record and I just started improvising off a little ditty on the guitar and so they came out like that. And people, when we had MySpace back in the day, the silhouette got fucking just crazy amounts of plays because it was unfiltered. It was a raw recording, which some raw recordings are really badass. Like John Lennon has a recording that Sirius Satellite plays every now and then, or XM, whatever the fuck it's called, Come Together. But it's the fifth take on Come Together. I can't find it anywhere. so it's probably not released anywhere. But you would fucking talk about just genuine John Lennon singing. Like he's trying to figure out the song, but that version to me is better than the version that was released because it's raw, and the
So
way
you know
he
what's
delivered the words and the way, like he, yeah,
what's funny that you mentioned that is I just saw a clip, and I'll never remember where, of Paul McCartney talking about writing that song, and they tried to write it as just a straight like 4/4, which it turned out it's still in 4/4, I believe, but
yeah,
they wanted to just play it straight, and he's like, it
Okay.
just wasn't working, So he came up with that whole drum part
No.
intro, and that's one of my favorite Beatles songs, man.
Yeah, me too. And I hate the fact that it's covered. Like I don't like the cover. They fucking play in Arizona. They play Aerosmith's cover of that all the fucking time, and I fucking hate it because like just stop. You're gonna play the song. Play the song. And if I
Right?
could find that, it was happen chance. I was just driving, and then whatever the station was, the guy was talking. The VJ with the disc jockey was talking, and he's like, I think it was Earl. This dude Earl. I forget his last name, but he plays these rare shit. Earl Bailey, I think. Man, I don't fucking.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
But he played it, and it was cool because Lennon's talking in the beginning. Like they hit, it's like a total raw session recording. Like, and then they start playing the song, and he starts singing, and you can just tell that it's raw and gritty. And he's probably fucking been in the studio for days on end, and he's just trying to find the right space to put this song in. And it was it was one of those moments driving. It's like I don't remember how I drove for 4 minutes because I was so just captivated by what he was doing and how he was sounding and how he was singing, delivering. It was just one of those moments like, fuck, it's such a great song, but it's the power of music to be able that they were fucking smart enough back then to hit record on
Yes.
everything and just run the reel. Let's run it. That's how, like, I can't stand I love U2, right? But I don't like the acoustic shit. Fucking Bono does not work acoustically. But when they record anything, they just push record and go. And then you probably know this too. Then Edge goes back afterwards and starts listening to everything and dissecting it and figures out which piece works where. And that's how he builds the song, then takes it back. And then this is the formulation. This is the foundation of this is the foundation of one. Now Bono, take it and get your melody to it and your lyrics to it. And so they always record their shit. Like they always record their shows, so then go back and look at it and say, how can we get better? Was that a good part of the show? Was that a bad part of the show?
Yes.
There's shit that it's just brilliant. So for the Beatles to have done that way back when it cost so much fucking money, is just phenomenal because they captured that for Come Together. And it, by all means, if I could find that song, I would play it all the time because it just has that.
Dude,
I heard it one other time since, and then I saved it. I saved it like in my truck. You can save them as favorites, right? You can alert it, and then when they fucking worked on my truck, they had to unplug the battery, and I fucking lost them all. Like motherfuckers.
the amount of music that the
That's my
Beatles
soapbox
wrote
about John Lennon. Sorry.
in such a short time is fascinating. They weren't a band
Right.
that long, and their
Right.
catalog is just massive.
No. Yep. But
So they-
when we talked about this before, they used to play 24 hours. They'd play 24-hour sets. They'd go play somewhere, and they would play literally, for like 2 days, and not 2 days without sleeping, but they would play these long ass shows, which is why they got so fucking tight, and they, just fucking Beatles, man,
Well,
fucking Beatles.
to your point,
Without the Beatles, we don't have music, really. I don't think. Yeah.
not in the way that we know and love today. Absolutely not. They laid
Right.
the groundwork for
Right.
every rock band
Yeah.
and pop band, and it's like if you want to be a good songwriter and you want to be a good band, here's your framework. You can't get it any better example than the Beatles.
Right.
But to your point earlier about being up on stage and being in a band, they did exactly what we did, man. We played anywhere that would let
Yeah.
us. Fucking pizza joint, park,
Yeah. Oh,
backyard.
Mhm.
You know, it didn't have to be the main
Mhm.
stage of the Electric Ballroom every time that held, you know, over 1,000 people. We would play in somebody's fucking backyard for
Nope.
your birthday party if the cops wouldn't show up and throw us in jail. You know, you play anywhere you can in front of people because, as
Right.
you've said before on the podcast, and we talked about a million times as musicians, every show you play in front of people is like 10 practices or 100, you know.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You can make it sound super tight when nobody's around, but when there's, you know, 500 people standing in front of you, how are you going to react?
Yeah. And that held true with why the last band I was in, it didn't work, that we never played out until after everything was done, because there's so many things I would have changed from a vocalist standpoint
Absolutely.
that I wouldn't have done that was done. Like Liquid Sin would sound completely different. Just completely different. There's so many things that the barrier that he put in place just was fucking stupid. It was the way not to do it. You know, the way that we did it was the way to do it. You play, you jive, you rehearse, you live show, rehearse, live show, rehearse. And then you just get so in the pocket when you're on stage, then you can start those improvs and those grooves and just take off on a musical journey where you know where you're going and the crowd doesn't. And then, you know, they hear something that they didn't hear, you know, 3 weeks ago when they saw you live, because you changed a little nuance, you tweak something, whether it's vocally, a guitar or a bridge or bass line or a little Phil Scott would add after, oh, I could do that. And that was the beauty of it, man. That's the cool thing about being creative on stage, and you only get that by being on stage.
So I got two thoughts
You know?
about that.
I mean, it starts, you got to, okay.
I forgot that you're right. We never called a song done until we played it in front of people. I totally forgot about that. Like,
Mhm.
we always had a framework, and then we would play it, like you said, we would play it out live, sometimes a multitude of times before we considered it done. And for the people listening at home that never got to see us play live, there were no songs that were ever done. To Chris's point, we would always change little things here and there. We never played the same song the same way twice. So there were always little,
right, but we weren't correct. But from a structure of the song, like, I don't want people to think we were like Counting Crows, where fucking every time they go on stage, Long December sounds completely different.
No,
it wasn't like that.
No.
There were nuances that we knew as a band that were different. The structure was the same, lyrics were the same, how I delivered the melody and shit was the same, except for when I would go on improvisational, you know, ramblings and shit, because I felt like it. and they would follow me and open that up so I could do that. But yeah, it was never done. It was never done. I don't think it can ever be done, because then it gets boring and trite, and then you're just going through the motions.
Yeah,
you know?
I know that people love to hate him, but in Some Kind of Monster movie, Lars is laying on his couch in his house and he's talking about the same subject. He's like, you know, when is a song done? You know, when is an album done?
Yeah.
Define done. And he's looking at a painting on the wall and he's like, when did he decide he was done? You know, how did he know there was enough yellow right there and enough white over there? And how did he know to leave that part open? You know, it's
right.
Your artistic.
Yep.
It's your artistic responsibility to give your art up to the masses at some point. It really is. I've been told that so many times, not by my own conscience and by my own spirit, but by many other people who are also artists and musicians, that, you know, when you're stuck in that, I don't know, I don't want to put myself out there or whatever, those are the people that are usually the first to say, you're required to put yourself out there. You know, you were given this gift and you're supposed to use it, you know?
Yep.
And they're right.
And that goes with and that goes too with, I think, when there's people that solely get into music because they want to make money, you know, which I get, but then they don't come across as genuine, you know. It's money's a byproduct. Like to me, like commissions are a byproduct. I know we talked about it earlier today. Commissions are a byproduct of the connection I make. Right. I'm blessed to make a connection with a human and become their friends, and we each have value in each other's lives. And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to buy or sell a house for you, and then I get paid for that. It's what I do. But it's the same concept. You have to have, there's got to be a connection. So, and it works across all levels of life, regardless of what you do. Like with you and the dude that was standing in front of your yard blocking your driveway, you had a connection because you both are union. You understand the battle that some union people go through at times, and you were, boom, like-minded. I do that with everything I do too. You find a common ground because that's what makes the world go round. If you don't have something common, then there's no connection. If you don't have the connection, then what are you fucking doing? There's got to be a connection in every way aspect of life. You got to connect with people in order for the relationships to evolve, whether they evolve, as a friendly wave every day and that's it, or, you're having that person, be a part of your every nuance of your life. But that it starts with a basic connection, and people miss that. And I think COVID did a lot of that. You just don't get that anymore. So, even though this isn't a connection where we're sitting next to each other, it's still a connection because you and I both look forward to this. We both look forward to having our conversations, and we're lucky enough that people like to listen to us ramble on. But it is like when we get done with this every Tuesday, man, I'm lifted. I'm up,
Me too. Absolutely.
It's part of my brain that I need, That's why I want your shit to get done so we can, start dabbling in other aspects of things. Cause, everything's self-released and self-guided now. So we just, free men will stand the test of time, man.
Absolutely.
Listen to your sin will stand the test of time.
And to your point about the connections, that's what I miss as far as being in a band, probably more than anything, is hanging with other musicians. Musicians are not like athletes, because music is not a contest, and anybody that's a legitimate professional musician understands that, and it never is discussed. Music is not like sports. Nobody that is at the level of musician that you and I got to or higher ever says, John Bonham's the greatest drummer that ever did, dude, and that's it. No question about it.
Yeah.
Neil Peart's the best drummer that ever lived. Yeah. Now that's a more sophisticated guy, so he's got to be a different person. The John Bonham guy, he smoked a lot of pot. So John Bonham, man, all the way is best ever. No, musicians just don't talk like that. We say, hey, man, in his day and in his genre, John Bonham was arguably among the greatest rock drummers ever. Jimmy Page was arguably among the greatest rock guitar players ever. We don't say things like, there's nothing other than Jimmy Page, or there's nothing other than this guy. That's why I gravitated towards music over sports, because it wasn't a competition. It was you and I trying to make ourselves better and having the same respect for every other person that was going to get up on that stage that night, because we knew what it took to get up there. Think about yourself in the crowd, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening, would you have, strapped on a guitar or worse yet, been like Chris and had to talk to people and then sing in front of them? There's nothing more vulnerable than that. A lot of people would be like, fuck, I couldn't get up there and do that.
No,
So we had that same respect for the people who were going up there and doing. We weren't like, hey, we're going to blow you off the stage. Inside, we said that. We didn't say that outwardly.
Well, we were. Right.
We just went up and let our music do the talking.
We didn't tell them though, right? Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, fucking, we're band, kicked your ass, man. You guys suck. We never did that because we weren't
dicks.
Those people. Which is maybe why we're not sitting in front of Maybe that's why we're not playing in front of millions of people, because we weren't dicks. You got to have an element of asshole-ish, I think, in this world at some level, and we just weren't assholes.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Just, random thought. All right. We got to wrap this puppy up. I got about 20 emails to respond to.
All right,
among
buddy.
other things. What did we learn today? We learned today that you are not alone.
SeaWorld
We
sucks.
talked about that before. So my friend out there, I'm not going to drop his name, but SeaWorld sucks. Do not pay for captured animals.
Correct.
Oh, little man's T-ball's over. That's good. That was a interesting experiment. Not going to do that for a while. You know, so that was fun. What else did I do as we wrap this thing up? It's Memorial Day, right? Memorial Day is coming up next weekend.
Monday. It's
Is it
coming
next
Monday.
weekend? Yeah.
Yeah.
This Monday. Fuck, dude.
Yeah,
Time's
it's
flying
this weekend.
by.
We only have 2 weeks left till
Okay.
June.
Cool.
Well, week and a half now.
Yeah. Halfway through the year, man.
Fucking crazy, man.
All right, boys and girls. We didn't have a top 11 list today. I'm sorry. I didn't even think about it. I was running around before I started. I had to do a bunch of errands and shit. So we'll get a top 11 list. We'll do a top 11 for Memorial Day. We'll do something about that.
All right.
And Jake's got 20, I want to say 28 training days left in drill instructor school. Second in his class, he thinks right now.
Sweet.
Kicking ass. It's wearing on him though. It's fucking hard, man. It's wearing on him. He's tired a lot. One day
bet.
they got the Yelta recruits. He did 31 miles at 11 o'clock at night. He sent us a picture of his watch at 31 total miles that day.
Holy
And
crap.
he gets up at 3. So from like 3 a.m. to 11 p.m. Like it's insane, man. But he's
That's
almost done.
nuts.
It's July 3rd. July 3rd is when he graduates, but he has 29, I think 29, 28 training days left. I'll have to ask him. So with that being said, man, good seeing you. Good talking to you. I'm glad you
You
got
too,
your
brother.
driveway. It was good. Otherwise,
Yes.
you know,
It's the
you'd have
little
to do it on your
things, man.
phone. It's the little things, man. It's the little things. So remember, everybody, tomorrow's a better day for he's Mike. I'm Chris. This is the Chris and Mike Show, number 30, Train Day. Right?
Trente. Hey, look at me.
Right. Got anything else?
Thanks for tuning in. We will see you
Anything else
next
you want to leave us? Thanks for
Sunday.
tuning in, man. Thanks for listening.
We love you.
Yes.
Take care
we
of each
will.
other.
Absolutely.
Be nice. No
Yeah.
reason to not be nice. Just be nice. That's all
Exactly.
you got to do.
Be nice. Just be nice.
All right, brother.
Smile. Have a great day.
you
See
too,
you, brother.
man.
Love you.
Love you too, man. Peace.